On this Thursday night, Israel and Iran take dangerous steps towards open conflict. What's behind the sudden exchange of firepower and what comes next? Our reporters are on the ground to bring you the story. And we'll take a look at what's at stake in a region already primed for war.
Also tonight, how the federal government is dealing with the recent influx of asylum seekers. After the Prime Minister seemed to roll out the welcome mat, why he's now trying to roll it back. At issue takes the measure of the Liberal response. This is The National.
Iran's leadership has long threatened to erase Israel off the map, and Israel has vowed to strike Iran first, if necessary. But now they've traded direct blows in a region already full of dangerous conflict. Overnight, Iranian forces in Syria launched at least 20 rockets on Israeli positions in the Golan Heights. According to Israeli officials, some were shot down by the so-called Iron Dome system, and some were wide of their mark. At least one ended up in neighboring Lebanon. No reports of anyone getting hurt there. But Israel's counterattack was unlike anything they've done in Syria so far.
מי שיפגע בנו, אנו נפגע בו שבעתיים. ומי שנערך לפגוע בנו, נפעל לפגוע בו קודם לכן.
The Israeli military says it hit more than 50 Iranian targets within Syria. Intelligence sites, military bases, munitions facilities, and Syrian official sources say 3 people were killed, though others put the number much higher at more than 20. We have coverage from both sides of the Syria-Israel border. You're going to hear from Derek Stoffel, who spent the day in the area the Israeli army says was targeted by Iran. But we begin with Margaret Evans, one of the few Western reporters allowed into Syria. She has the story of what happened in Damascus from inside the city itself.
Into an already crowded theater, enter another player. One that's already paid a few visits in the past, but not like this. The barrage of Israeli missiles calling out Syria's air defenses and shaking Damascenes awake. By daylight, some Syrians were shrugging them off. We're not scared of any missiles, says this man. Israelis slept in their shelters, says another, while we stood on rooftops to watch our army's achievements. Syria's military command, too, was downplaying the impact of the Israeli action, a spokesman appearing on television. With a very high level of readiness, our air forces destroyed a large amount of Israeli missiles, he said, not admitting to any major losses. But the target of the strikes, Iranian soldiers and advisors and Shia militias trained and financed by Tehran, can be spotted up and down Syria, sent in for years now to help the president, Bashar al-Assad, win the war. He's on his way, but he's still fighting it, the plumes of smoke rising from a Damascus neighborhood called Yarmouk, testament to its ferocity. And these pictures in Idlib province to the north, where so many opposition fighters have fled, reportedly show the aftermath of a Russian airstrike, a grim reminder of the other air campaign in Syria, children so often among the dead. Bashar al-Assad's current dominant position in the Syrian civil war has just as much to do with Russian support as it does Iranian. But the prospect of a wider conflict involving Israel would be for him an unwelcome wildcard. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Damascus.
I'm Derek Stoffel in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, where you wouldn't know it from all the tourists, but this is the area that Israel's military says was targeted by Iranian rockets early this morning. That's Syria, just hundreds of meters away. Israelis here are used to the war just over the border. But the events this morning are a serious escalation. It's believed to be the first time Iran's military has ever targeted Israel directly, rather than use one of its proxies, such as Hezbollah. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran crossed a red line and that the Israeli response was appropriate. For months now, there has been a shadow war between Israel and Iran playing out in Syria. Israel has launched airstrikes against Iranian military bases inside Syria several times now.
We will not tolerate a military presence with offensive capabilities that is in the hands of the extremist Quds force that is part of the Revolutionary Guard inside Syria with a tactical capability to menace and terrorize Israeli civilians.
Israeli forces in the northern part of the country are on high alert. They were expecting that Iran would retaliate after several of its soldiers were killed in those previous Israeli strikes. The big question now, will Iran attack again? Israel's army is warning residents to be prepared. A couple of nights ago, Israel's military ordered that all of the bomb shelters in the Golan Heights, like this one here, be opened up so the public can come and use them.
We're kind of used to it. I don't think it's something out of the ordinary.
Maya Schulman has lived in the Golan Heights for 10 years. While she's not panicked about what happens next, she does
Have a plan B, because things escalate quite fast in this region of the Middle East. They don't gradually go bad. So the responsible thing to do is to have the bag packed.
It's clear that just 2 days after Donald Trump pulled the United States out of the Iran nuclear deal, tensions in the Middle East have ratcheted up. But while this escalation is concerning, neither Iran nor Israel right now appear to want an all-out war. Derek Stoffel, CBC News, in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights.
So that may be true. Israel and Iran may not want all-out war. But that shadow war Derek was talking about, it's definitely out in the open now, and it's part of a pattern of violence that's trending sharply up.
Since the agreement, Iran's bloody ambitions have grown only more brazen.
2 days ago, right after Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, an airstrike killed 15 people, including 8 Iranians south of Damascus. Analysts assume Israel was behind it, even if it rarely claims responsibility outright. Though last August, an Israeli general admitted that over a period of 5 years, his air force had carried out nearly 100 attacks in Syria. Why? Well, from Israel's perspective, it's being surrounded. In Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, and of course Syria, Iran's influence and threat potential keeps growing. Iran's most powerful proxy, Hezbollah, essentially runs southern Lebanon. And elections just this past weekend gave the group more influence over the country's politics. On Israel's southern flank, the militant group Hamas runs the Gaza Strip. That group's links to Iran have run hot and cold, but they have recently restored ties. And in Syria, Iran has gone all in. It's built militias, thousands of fighters strong, and propped up the Assad government with its own soldiers and weapons. That's a lot of hostile Iranian military assets right on Israel's border. And zooming out, Russia backs both Iran and Assad to support its interests in Syria, while behind Israel, there's the U.S. Donald Trump's cabinet is stacked with hawks, keen to put more pressure on Tehran.
They'll negotiate. Or something will happen.
So the expectation, Israel and Iran will clash again, and likely this isn't over. So the clouds of conflict may be gathering over the Middle East, but on the peace front, or at least the hope of it, there's big news for North Korea. In a tweet, Trump announced the place and date of what he's calling the highly anticipated meeting with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. It will be in Singapore, and the date, June 12th.
I really think he wants to do something and bring that country into the real world.
The tweet followed Trump's greeting of 3 American citizens recently freed from North Korea, an apparent goodwill gesture ahead of the summit.
Here's a look at what else we're working on tonight. Spotify is giving a big boost to the Mute R. Kelly movement, pulling his music from its streaming playlist. The movement is calling to boycott the musician after decades of sexual assault allegations.
And on Hawaii's Big Island, pressure is building inside the Kilauea volcano, which is why the big fear tonight is that an explosive eruption could come soon.
But first, as she leads the fight for compensation, a survivor of the 60s scoop remembers the day she was ripped away from her family. Survivors like her have gathered for 2 days of hearings in Saskatoon, speaking both for and against a compensation deal with the federal government. As Olivia Stefanovich tells us, for many, it's revived some painful memories.
This here is the dress.
The gown faded. Her memories still fresh.
A touchable, a tangible validation that, yes, that day did take place.
Maggie Bluewaters wore this dress for her adoption photo when she was taken from her family in Montreal Lake, Saskatchewan, spring 1962.
I could feel the anxiety in the air. I remember pushing myself to the window. I was the older child in the car. If I watched out the window, I would remember where they were taking us, and I would take everybody home that night. That was my plan at 5 years old.
Waters still carries that responsibility as a lead plaintiff in the $875 million national proposed settlement for the 60s scoop.
I believe that I will truly be able to move forward.
Not everyone agrees.
They're slapping us in the face. No apology, no acknowledgement.
Vince Vandel is strategizing with other survivors on how to change the proposed deal. If it's approved by a federal court, status and Inuit claimants may be eligible for up to $50,000. But there's concern that's too little.
You know, I was suicidal and I hated my people.
Vandel was scooped a year before Waters as a baby from Mistawasis First Nation, then shuffled through the foster system and ridiculed.
You're going to be stupid, no good for nothing, drunk, and you're not going to amount to anything. And they wanted me to be white, something I could never be.
Métis and non-status are excluded due to a lack of documentation. He wants a plan that recognizes everyone's suffering.
They took away our culture, our way of life, our Indian way, our language. Both my parents could speak Cree, and I lost that.
More than 100 survivors are hoping to speak. They're being limited to 3 minutes each. Today, it was mostly lawyers talking. That leaves tomorrow for survivors to give their opinions before the judge makes his final decision. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Now, the government that reached this settlement says it's committed to working with all Indigenous peoples affected by the 60s scoop. The Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, Carolyn Bennett's office, said tonight in part the following. We have said from the beginning that this is a significant step, but not the last step. We know that there are other claims that remain unresolved, including those of the Métis and non-status. It goes on to say that Ottawa is committed to resolving the remaining litigation through negotiation. Okay, turning now to a completely different kind of story. The new development in the long saga of R. Kelly, who's been called many things. Maybe you don't know him, but he's a trailblazing musician. He's been called the most important R&B recording artist of the past 25 years and a manipulative sexual predator who has abused young women for decades.
I have pictures inside this house of the black room where they do different acts, sexual acts in.
He said, "This is my pet. I trained her. She's gonna teach you how to be with me."
Do you like teenage girls? When you say teenage, how old are we talking?
That's a scene from a recent BBC documentary exploring the many sexual abuse allegations against R. Kelly over the years, including against some underage girls. Nothing has ever been proven in court, but more allegations keep coming, and the walls do seem to be closing in. Today, streaming giant Spotify announced it will stop promoting Kelly's music in official playlists or as a recommendation by its algorithms. Though they're not removing it completely, Spotify made the decision after a request from the growing #MuteRKelly campaign, which has joined forces with Me Too and Time's Up. They want the music industry to stop supporting an accused sexual abuser. Now, while some may applaud this new move by Spotify, others are waiting to see if it has any effect before offering praise. We asked our Stephanie Skandaris to look into the new policy and what people are saying about it.
This is what you'll find outside R. Kelly concerts now, a chorus of calls to mute him. R. Kelly, you got to go! They're growing. Today, they can claim a partial victory. Spotify explains its decision to stop promoting R. Kelly like this. We don't censor content because of an artist's or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions, what we choose to program, to reflect our values.
Part of me wants to commend them, but part of me is also like, what is the actual intent here? If
this anti-violence educator wonders how much of this decision is just optics.
With the Time's Up movement, with the Mute R. Kelly, with Ava DuVernay, with really notable people saying this is not okay, we see a surgence of people with power, such as Spotify organizations, saying, well, what does it look like for us to stay silent on these issues, right?
She wonders how far Spotify will go.
Because we know that there's so many other artists who are misogynistic, who have their lyrics in themselves may incite hate speech or violence against women, against trans people. Spotify would not have any artists, to be quite candid, if they actually followed through with that policy.
R. Kelly isn't the only artist being targeted. Rapper XXXTentacion, who faces charges including aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, has also been dropped from Spotify playlists. Like R. Kelly, his catalog is still available if you search it. Management for both artists question why they've been singled out.
A company finally stepping up.
This music journalist says Spotify is walking a fine line.
You do ride the line between moral values and censorship, and you don't want to cross it into censorship.
She says the climate has changed and Spotify has had to keep up.
I think consumers are at a stage where they want to see artists with a bit more integrity and content that has a bit more integrity. And so Spotify actually getting behind the consumer in this way and championing that from a corporate level says a lot.
R. Kelly will face more protests this weekend. There are calls for his next 2 shows in North Carolina to be canceled. Stephanie Skandaris, CBC News, Toronto.
And the man at the center of the storm obviously thinks Spotify is in the wrong. Here's some of what R. Kelly's management team said in a statement today. R. Kelly never has been accused of hate, and the lyrics he writes express love and desire. Mr. Kelly, for 30 years, has sung songs about his love and passion for women. He has never been convicted of a crime, nor does he have any pending criminal charges against him.
Well, ahead tonight on The National, ticket scalpers in Ontario will soon have a limit on how much they can make you pay. But how effective will the new law really be?
Also, a tweet from the Prime Minister, an influx in asylum seekers, and now a promise that those migrants won't be getting a free ticket. At Issue is here to tackle it all.
Plus, the building pressure and growing fear on Hawaii's Big Island.
Magma underground might actually start to interact with the groundwater. And if it does that, it's like throwing water onto a frying pan. We could get a big explosion.
With floodwaters rising in BC's southern interior tonight, officials have ordered thousands of people to leave their homes. Melting snow plus recent heavy rain mean river levels in the region are changing fast. And with more rain in the forecast, authorities are warning close to 3,000 people in evacuation zones to get out while they still can. And we're waiting to see what happens next after WestJet pilots voted overwhelmingly in favor of a strike. It could happen as early as May 19th if the two sides can't come to an agreement. There are more talks expected next week, but while the pilots' union says it's hopeful, WestJet says it's working on contingency plans. Well, let's take you to Hawaii now, where all eyes are on Kilauea tonight. Scientists warn an even bigger explosion than those we've seen could be imminent. And if that happens, the volcano could turn into a cannon of sorts, launching ash and rocks kilometers away. This is the hottest place to be in Hawaii right now.
I heard about the explosion this morning. That's why I came up and wanted to see what was going on.
Until now, there have been smaller explosions inside Kilauea's crater, small enough that visitors feel safe chasing that perfect shot.
You don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, but you just let Mother Nature do its thing.
But a great photo opportunity one day may be downright dangerous the next. Those plumes of ash and steam signal a bigger explosion could be coming. All that lava bubbling from fissures in places like Leilani Estates has been draining magma inside the main crater. As that magma level drops closer to the water table and rocks from the crater wall continue to fall in, pressure could build and Kilauea could blow.
Not St. Helens style, but still dangerous.
This volcanologist from Simon Fraser University spent time working on Kilauea.
What's scary, if we have a big explosion at the summit, we could get rocks like this. These are what we call volcanic bombs or ballistics, shot out like a cannon. That's solid rock that lands on your head. It's going to hurt.
And then there's the less immediate but more ominous threat, toxic gases.
You breathe that into your lungs. It's like sucking in battery acid. I've had my clothes disintegrate off me because of that acid just eating away the cotton.
Tomorrow, officials are shutting down the area around Kilauea to the public. But beyond that,
Kilauea has been active for 35 years, so this could go on for quite some time now.
Now, meteorologist and science reporter Johanna Wagstaff has also been tracking all of this quite closely. And Joe, with the suddenness of explosions, we've also seen this slow crawl of lava bubbling and oozing forward. So, a simple question, can it be stopped or at least diverted?
Well, Andrew, the short answer is not really. But lava flows have threatened civilizations for centuries, so it's certainly been attempted, starting back in the 1600s with Mount Etna, trying to divert the flow of lava by digging trenches or building walls. But with lava over 1,000 degrees Celsius, that lava is going to push through whatever is in its path. Believe it or not, it's also being attempted to bomb lava flows on a previous volcanic eruption on the Hawaiian Islands that really just left a crater that filled up with lava, and the lava kept moving forward. You might think to fight fire with water. In the 1970s, Iceland used 1.5 billion gallons of seawater to try and slow the flow of lava, but that's really all it did, Andrew, slow and buy time. Ultimately, it's the volcano that needs to stop erupting that will stop these events, and scientists agree we really just need to be focusing on prediction, like other natural disasters.
Wow, right. So I mean, if you can't stop it and you can't steer it away, are scientists actually getting better at predicting the path of the lava so that the right communities can get out of the way at the right time?
We really are, Andrew. Our tools are advancing, and our understanding of volcanoes are advancing with every one. We have tools that can thermal image the level of these lava lakes. We can track the deformation and seismic movements, which help us determine where that magma is moving underground. And we've got a team of scientists monitoring the situation 24/7. And this is what ultimately, I think, is going to be the future when it comes to predicting and saving lives around volcanoes.
Yeah, gosh, but you really feel for all those people stuck in the middle of it and all the hard work that's going on to crack that nut, so to speak. Johanna Wagstaff, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
So that's all terrifying. Up next on The National, it's At Issue Night, my favorite night. Andrew, Paul, and Chantal are all here. Tonight, we'll look at how the Liberals are dealing with an influx of asylum seekers, how the NDP leader is dealing with another sexual assault allegation in the party. All of that straight ahead.
Coming across the border in a way that tries to circumvent the law or defy proper procedure is no free ticket to Canada.
That was Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale in Montreal earlier this week. The federal government sent not one, not two, but three ministers to try and reassure the provinces and the public that they are on top of this illegal border crossing issue. It all started, you might remember, last year when President Trump moved to lift his country's temporary protected status for certain immigrant groups. That left them with few options, and in response, Justin Trudeau sent a tweet.
This is an illegal point.
The crush of asylum seekers has not gone away since last year when Justin Trudeau tweeted that message, "Welcome to Canada." Impossible to know if the numbers would have been the same without it, but it was taken by some as an open invitation. The weather warmed up, the people started crossing in Quebec and Manitoba. Roxham Road was quickly overwhelmed, and Trudeau tried to walk it back.
You will not be at advantage if you choose to enter Canada irregularly. You must follow the rules, and there are many.
MPs were dispatched to the U.S. to speak directly to communities and discourage them from coming.
It's not a free ticket to come to Canada.
But 28,000 asylum seekers have entered Canada illegally since the beginning of 2017. Compare that to fewer than 2,500 in all of 2016. And they cannot be turned away without a fair hearing.
You cannot have this year after year after year. The system is just going to burst. And that's real life and reality. So this answer from the federal government is just totally unacceptable.
So what to make of all of this? At Issue is here to weigh in. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal, Andrew Coyne is in Toronto, and Paul Wells joins us tonight here in Ottawa. Good to see you all. I don't know that the government knew that this was going to sort of spiral. I'm not going to say out of control, but spiral to this state. Do you think, Chantal, that they have a workable solution, that they are trying to find a solution to a problem that does just seem to be growing?
Well, the one thing for sure is that there is no magic fix for this. Possibly they didn't see this coming. That tweet you talked about referred to was in response to President Trump's decision to ban people from a number of countries from coming to the U.S. It wasn't in response to what happened afterwards in the States. The agreement that usually keeps people who land first in the U.S. out of Canada has been in place since 2004, and I'm guessing most Canadians didn't hear much about it until President Trump came into office. So it is a new problem, and despite all that you hear, there are no simple fix.
The fact, Andrew, that for the first time the government seemed to be suggesting they would talk about the Safe Third Country Agreement, and that's the agreement Chantal's referring to, that they would at least look at negotiating it. What did that tell you?
Well, it tells you that there is an issue on their hands. They've got a political issue and they've got a real issue. To the extent, I think the tweet probably contributed to it, but there's also a historical context to it, which is that, generally speaking, Canada's immigration and refugee process is, in reality or in perception, is seen as being more lenient than the United States. That's why we have the Safe Third Country Agreement. We asked for it, going back years, because we were trying to stem the flow northward, that people were trying to arbitrage the differences between the two systems. So yes, maybe they didn't anticipate at the time that it was signed that so many people would be taking non-legal routes, although people who were critics of the agreement were predicting that would happen eventually. But as Chantal says, that's the irreducible fact is we can't change an agreement unless we get the Americans to agree to it. They're not going to agree to the thing that's most popularly put forward by the Conservatives, among others, of let's just declare the whole border an entry point, because that would essentially mean more people coming back to the United States having been turned back from Canada. So we've got to find some other thing we can get them to agree on.
So what might that be, Paul? How does the government find this solution? Because it does seem a head-scratcher, and the government doesn't want to be perceived as pushing people away either. I don't think it wants that message out there either.
Well, this is the problem. When Justin Trudeau said everyone's welcome who wants to come to Canada, they were so proud of that tweet. It was more retweeted than any of Donald Trump's tweets up to that time. Staffers in the Prime Minister's office were eager to tell journalists that. And quite logically, there was suddenly a flood of humanity northward to test the thesis. The problem is that Justin Trudeau was telling the truth. It is easier. You are dealt with more leniently here than you have been lately, or than you might have been lately in Donald Trump's United States. And so pedestrian asylum claimants, just like software engineers looking to be hired in Vancouver, are rational actors, and they're going to test for advantage. And as a result, the government's had to really change its tone. It's had to, instead of sending Justin Trudeau out with blankets and jerseys to welcome people at the airport, they've sent out Ahmed Hussein and Ralph Goodale to glower and warn people not to come in.
The problem, though, Chantal, too, is that they do have to process these people, and that is clogging the system. But if you look at, for instance, the processing of Haitians who try to come to Canada and claim refugee status, it's about half and half. I mean, not everybody's getting refugee status. Some people are being turned away. It's just that it takes a long time.
Okay, so here are some solutions. There are no magic fix. The magic fix of declaring the entire border an official border point, well, we could all hold hands and create a human chain, I'm guessing, to enforce that, because otherwise we don't have the resources. International law means that we cannot turn people back, just say you're just going to go home. Right. But it has been found that the U.S. is giving tourist visas, and that makes come across as strange to Canadians more easily to people than Canadians do. So a lot of the Nigerian would-be asylum seekers are getting tourist visas to the U.S. and then coming over. There is a way to convince possibly the U.S. to be more strict on that. That's one solution. The other, and you alluded to it, is to put more resources into processing the claims, because word of mouth that X number are being rejected is going to do more for you than anything else.
Yeah, that you come here and that you're not going to be able to stay. Andrew, last word on this too.
I just would say the priority has got to be to get people to come by lawful means, and that may be a higher priority than trying to limit the numbers. One thing we might be able to get the Americans to do is to say, to reverse the situation that we have now, where it's easier and better for people to go the illegal route than the legal route. What if we said, if you come by the lawfully provided points, you will get a hearing. If you go by any other route, we will turn you back. You have to get the Americans to agree to it. It does mean you probably get an increase in people applying to come, but at least we'd be able to do them, process them by lawful means, and once they'd had their hearing, either keep them or send them back to their country of origin.
Okay, I'll let Paul comment on that, and then I'll change topic.
I just think that this is going to get worse before it gets better. And one thing it's doing is it's opening up a substantial area of political opportunity for the Conservatives in Quebec.
Yes.
So far unexploited, although Andrew Scheer is trying hard. Quebecers in particular are very worried about this trend, and they notice that the government to which they contributed an awful lot of MPs in 2015 can't do much about it.
I like that you sort of cast forward to the podcast that people will now have to listen to if they want the rest of the answers to that. This is not what's going to be... Let's change topics just quickly. We only have about 3.5 minutes. Again, Jagmeet Singh tested with his leadership this week, now forced to put another MP, this time a female MP, Christine Moore, on ice. She's not at a caucus. She's sort of on a timeout while they investigate claims that she may have acted inappropriately. Chantal, this is not... I mean, this is sort of what we were talking about in terms of setting the bar for behavior, but what does it tell us about Jagmeet Singh's leadership or the people around him or the decisions they are making here?
Oh, that they're scrambling and kind of making it up as they go along, and one of the reasons for that is that there is no charted path that you can say you can adhere to. But the unhappy thing for Mr. Singh is that he is not in the House of Commons. Yeah. He doesn't get to be seen on television talking about anything other than problems in the NDP caucus, and problems whose solution generates debate most, and that's normal too. So it's a lose-lose for the NDP.
Paul and I were both at an event last night, although I don't think we said hello, but we were both there. And Jagmeet Singh was one of the MCs at Politics in the Pen, and he cracked a lot of jokes about not being in Ottawa. But I do think Chantal's right, Paul, that at some point, not being around all the time, maybe this lets the caucus just sort of, I don't know, they just don't know how to deal with situations like this.
Yeah, it should be said that these sort of parallel and matching claims of harassment are about alleged behavior that predates his arrival as the leader. And I'm not sure that if I was the newly arrived leader of the party, I would be much better at dealing with it. I mean, either there's a long, drawn-out process to try and guarantee some kind of due process, or you just summarily kick people out of the caucus without giving them a chance to defend themselves. Both of those are hard for Jagmeet Singh. But it's compounded by the fact that his caucus doesn't know him, and they are a little too eager in a lot of cases to publicly second-guess him.
Andrew.
I'm not sure I would hang this one on him, except to the extent that they might have known about this more than they're letting on, and I don't know what the facts are on that. But if they knew and didn't do anything about that, makes it more culpable. But I guess, you know, the larger point to me is it's at first surprising that so many of these cases seem to be arising in the party that, at least to believe its rhetoric, would be most concerned about preventing this sort of thing, except maybe that's not so surprising. Maybe there's a culture in the NDP of particularly being quick on the trigger with some of these accusations, and was talking about not having any easy answers. The easy answer of let's just believe all complainants, I think, has now more or less been put to one side. We need to figure out, as you said earlier, Rosie, what the lines are, and we need to figure out what the process is, particularly for people in political life, where there's an extra incentive for people to start accusing people of things.
Yeah, and I'll end with this, Chantal. I'm not saying it should be hung on Jagmeet Singh, but I do think that once you say we believe survivors, without really saying what that means to you, without defining what that means to you, then you put yourself in a corner, and I don't know how you get out of that, Chantal.
I don't know of a justice system where the so-called survivor doesn't have to qualify or prove that he or she qualifies for that statement, and I'm not sure that it doesn't speak to some immaturity on the part of the current leadership team that they're handling it, or they've been handling it this way.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all. Appreciate it. As we said, as Paul well teased, you're going to have to listen to the At Issue podcast now. You'll get extra content. Of course, what we talked about here in podcast form every week. This week's bonus topic, Andrew Scheer trying to romance Quebec. We'll see if the province is interested after a by-election there. How's he doing so far? Look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/thenational.
And of course, lots more to come right here on the program. Still ahead tonight, one woman's cross-country mission to return an old Humboldt Broncos jacket to its rightful owner. And we'll tell you about the latest historic step California is taking to try and slow down climate change.
Tens of thousands of homes already have solar on the roof. So it's nothing spectacularly new. It's something that is cost effective for the home buyer, the homeowner, and it also is good for California in that it helps propel us toward our long-term greenhouse gas reduction goals.
If you've been to a concert or a sports event, you know that ticket costs can skyrocket, especially after scalpers buy them in bulk and then resell them at inflated prices. A new law will take effect in Ontario soon, and it's meant to keep those prices down. Tonight, as part of his ongoing investigation into the ticket resale industry, Dave Seglins discovers how challenging that will be.
Canadian Music Week, a who's who meeting of industry insiders and fans. A hot topic, Ontario capping the price that scalpers can charge for tickets.
The cap is going to be unenforceable on a bunch of those sites, technologically and otherwise. And I believe that it's going to drive bad activity underground even worse, where it's going to be unenforceable.
It's the start of another new year. This new law was brought in after the Tragically Hip's farewell tour 2 summers ago. Scalpers had vacuumed up most tickets and jacked up the prices and raked in tens of millions in profits. Thousands of fans across Canada found themselves shut out.
This legislation is basically a populist response to a situation that's beyond anybody's control.
Radio host and music industry blogger Alan Cross has long been a critic of this law. He says come July 1st, Ontario will be unique in North America, making it illegal to resell tickets for more than face value plus 50%. He says it'll be unenforceable.
The idea of a price cap on concert tickets is a brilliant idea in theory, but in practice it's going to be a disaster.
Authorities will likely have their hands full. Consider what CBC News found this week. Hundreds of tickets being resold at huge markups. For example, Gordon Lightfoot in Hamilton this fall. Box office price, $100. On SeatGeek, more than double. Imagine Dragons in Toronto next month. $250 tickets, more than 3 times that on Ticketmaster resale. Or Ozzy Osbourne, front row to see the aging godfather of heavy metal in Toronto. Box office, $1,500. On StubHub, $4,592.
But in a matter of weeks, those kinds of prices will be against the law. Now, we've learned that the penalties for any scalper or website caught selling above that cap, they could be as high as $5,000. Almost as much as those Aussie tickets.
But a long-standing question hanging over all this is what Ontario will do to enforce the law. This week, officials told CBC there is no new money or staff. They'll use existing resources to enforce the new Ticket Sales Act.
If they're not adding new resources, that would be a pretty toothless law. If there's no enforcement, who's going to abide by it?
Leaving many doubting whether this law, born out of the Hip's farewell, will in the end do anything to protect fans. Dave Seglin, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, so that's Ontario. Laws meant to keep resale ticket prices down vary across the country. For example, there's no such law in British Columbia, although the province's Solicitor General is looking into the issue. In Saskatchewan, the general public's given 1 full hour to buy tickets before they are available to scalpers. It's illegal for resellers to charge more than the original face value in Quebec, so it's not a moneymaker in that province at all. And like British Columbia, Nova Scotia has no law governing ticket resales.
I want to take you to California now, the first state in the U.S. to require all new homes to have rooftop solar panels. It's all part of an aggressive push to fight climate change, living up to the state's reputation as a global leader on clean energy. But as Kim Brunhuber found out, the new rules may come at a high cost.
Okay, you guys ready? Yeah.
Right now, about 1 in 5 new homes in California comes with solar panels already installed. In 2 years, that number will no longer be expressed as a fraction. The California Energy Commission's vote was unanimous. California will soon become the first state to require solar panels on all new homes and on residential buildings smaller than 4 stories.
So if you look right over there, what we'll see, instead of a home that just has a roof on it, what we'll now see is homes with solar panels.
I met Jacobson moments after the new building code is passed, so you can't blame him for looking around the bare roofs of downtown LA and only seeing what might be.
On an average day like today, California will use about 25,000 megawatts of electricity in order to generate our power. And by putting on these solar panels, we'll be able to offset about 30 to 40% of that.
And if the environmental argument doesn't impress homebuyers, maybe the economics will, according to the man who led the code review.
It's actually cost effective from day one to do it. You know, your energy bills go down more than your mortgage goes up.
But there's still a massive housing crisis in California. Housing availability is the 2nd lowest in the country, and housing prices are 3rd highest. Richard Green, who studies real estate issues at USC, says tacking another $9,500 onto home listings won't help.
If you make it more expensive to buy a new house, then rich people stay in old houses, and so you don't free up the old houses for other people, and so you continue to make those houses more expensive.
The association that represents California's building industry warns the cost will get passed on to the buyer.
With each $1,000 cost increase in California, our National Association of Home Builders estimates that we're knocking about 14,000 potential buyers out of the market.
And the cost of solar could go up further. In February, President Trump's 30% tariff on imported panels took effect. But if California can successfully implement the new rules, advocates expect more than a dozen other states will follow suit, regardless of what happens in Washington.
Even if the president wants to move us backwards, states, not only California, but all over the country, will continue to move us forward when it comes to clean energy.
The California Energy Commission says the mandatory solar installations will save homeowners about $1,500 a year, which still means that making their money back on the panels will take about 16 years. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Now, even though the cost to install solar panels has plummeted over the years, here in Canada, people haven't exactly been rushing to get in on it. We looked at data from provincial hydro companies, and it shows that only about 30,000 homes across the country have installed solar panels, almost all of them in Ontario. The province launched a program almost a decade ago encouraging homeowners to go solar. But overall, solar energy accounts for a minuscule 0.5% of all of Canada's electricity generation. That's up from 0 at the start of this decade, but hydropower is the real giant. It accounts for almost 60% of Canada's power. About 20% comes from fossil fuels like coal and natural gas. Zoom out to the world stage and you can see how far Canada has fallen behind. In solar power, this country is ranked 14th in the world and dead last among the major industrialized countries. The world leader, China. And there is more ahead right after the break. First, though, take a look at this. What on earth is he wearing, you might be asking? Well, I recently visited a Ford assembly plant in Michigan, where workers have been testing out upper body exoskeletons, basically bionic vests. They don't give them superhuman strength, but almost superhuman endurance. I tried one on, and here's a preview of what we'll show you tomorrow night.
It's almost as if someone's lifting your elbow up from below.
Can you show me the vest, how
I would
it
love
works?
to. Yeah, I'd love to, Andrew.
All right,
let's go do it.
Let's just put it on like a backpack. The genius of the design is how uncomplicated it is. There's no fuel, no battery, no electricity at all, just springs.
So let me turn it on for you.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just put your arm straight down.
It's what they call a passive device, completely unpowered, but it gives enough lift to make your arms and any tools you're holding feel weightless.
Oh wow, it just sort of lifts your arm up.
Here are the words never before spoken. The Winnipeg Jets are going to the Western Conference Final.
Tonight on The National, a big night for the Winnipeg Jets. They are on to the third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs after beating the Nashville Predators 5-1 in Game 7. It was an understandably muted reaction from fans there, given the game was in Nashville. But we want to show you what it was like tonight in Winnipeg. The moment the Jets won at a viewing party at Winnipeg's Bell MTS Place. They now face the Vegas Golden Knights in the third round. Game 1 of that series is set for this Saturday.
A jacket has brought two strangers together. When Cheryl Sloan found a Humboldt Broncos jacket from the mid-'80s, one day after that horrific crash, she made it her mission to return it to its rightful owner. How that actually happened is our moment of the day.
I pulled it off the rack, showed it to the ladies, and we all just gasped. And it fell into my hands, and like, holy crap, I had to do something.
She was listening to a country radio station in Vancouver, and she caught the tail end of the broadcast.
His name's Sean. He was being interviewed, and he was talking about his uncle who played on the '84 Humboldt team.
So she called the radio station to get that information, and they were able to identify me.
Now I have a name to go with the jacket.
We were able to track down each other's numbers.
It took 7 days. It was quick.
She was on a mission.
I sent the letter of the events that transpired and how I was able to find them.
2 days later, he was at my doorstep in Michigan.
I just wanted to bring a little happiness back into somebody.
Well, that is going above and beyond. It really makes me think, how many of these sorts of life milestone artifacts, turn up at neighborhood garage sales or Goodwill stores or what have you? And how did they get here? Do their owners miss them? What are the stories behind them? Really interesting.
Mine are all in my parents' basement, much to their dismay. I will say that Dave says the jacket still fits, which is amazing. And Cheryl is a truck driver in BC, and this is how she spotted the jacket. And she was deeply affected by that accident because she says her son actually died in a motorcycle crash too. So it hit her on so many levels. It's just remarkable, the things people do for each other.
Yep, for sure.
There you go. That's National for May 10th, everybody. Good night.
Good night.